Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to this very special interview. So today we have a very exclusive interview, and we're going to be talking about something which is of great interest to many people, and because today we live in an online and connected world. In an online and connected world, we are exposed to so many threats. So Kapalya, which is a company which is helping eradicate ransomware by protecting your data everywhere. So, what is this company? What is it all about? We will soon find out, but let's watch this video first.
Enterprise data is constantly getting breached, perpetrated by sophisticated cyber criminals who are looking to penetrate your system, steal your data, and may demand a ransom payment.
It's no longer just some kid in their basement. These are criminals who make it their full-time job to steal your information.
Thankfully, there's an encryption management platform like Kapalya.
Kapalya empowers businesses and their employees to securely store sensitive files at rest and in transit across multiple platforms through a simple, user-friendly desktop and mobile app.
Launch the Kapalya app on your Windows or Mac, and the encryption management system will scan for sensitive data on your machine.
Once located, you'll upload and encrypt it on your computer, mobile device, on-site cloud servers.
Each file includes its own unique encryption key for each file and folder, which enables end-to-end encrypted file sharing across multiple cloud platforms.
You can share files with other users and revoke their accessibility of your encrypted file sharing after a predetermined time.
No matter where it's placed, you can be sure your confidential data is safe from prying eyes.
And if your computer gets hit with ransomware, rest assured that cyber criminals will not be able to read any of the contents of your data.
When your password-protected system gets breached, all your data is compromised.
Protect your data by using Kapalya's encryption management system today by visiting kapalya.com.
So there you are. That's what we're talking about today, Kapalya. And we've heard about that. So right now, let's take a look at some of the things that Kapalya can do. Okay, so just a screen sharing here. So if you look at, Meet Kapalya, the new encryption management platform. Ransomware is one of the biggest cyber threats globally, costing organizations billions of dollars. This global problem has only gained momentum during COVID pandemic. It's why our cybersecurity company Kapalya has developed innovative solutions for businesses to proactively prevent and eradicate ransomware. Solutions. The first solution can recover 100% of the breach data with 0% data leakage on endpoints. That is amazing. The second solution uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to detect, prevent, remediate, and eradicate ransomware anywhere in your business. So let's find out a lot more about this, and then we'll come back. We'll come back to this one to find out how you too can be a part of this. So let's go to that. A very exclusive interview, and we'll be talking to the brainchild, the founder, the CEO of this successful startup. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Australian Indian Radio, and today we have a very special guest with us here in the studio. And today we are talking about something which is very important in today's day and age, but many people probably don't know about it. Some people have heard about it, and many people would say, yeah, we need it, but what do we do? I'm talking about cyber security. And with that, let's welcome to the studio all the way from Berkeley, California, Sudesh Kumar. Sudesh, welcome to the show.
Great to be on the show, Wes. Thank you for having me.
It is wonderful to have you on the show. And right now, we're talking about cybersecurity and your startup company. Let me see if I pronounce this properly. Kapalya.
Kapalya, yes.
Mm-hmm. And now that it has also entered the Indian market, could you tell us a little bit about the journey? Okay, how did all this begin?
Yeah, so it's been a long journey. The journey for Kapalya was started back in Hawaii when I was a cybersecurity consultant for the state, and during that time I was, responsible for protecting the presidential elections data from getting compromised. And at that time I realized that a lot of places where the personal information was stored was vulnerable. And so I looked at all the big companies to see if they could come in and solve the problem, and none of them had a comprehensive solution. Hence, that was the inception of Kapalya. And our objective is to protect everyone's data regardless of where it resides, because cyber criminals are out there all the time looking for your data and trying to steal your data, and then they're demanding a ransom for your data. So that was the inception point of Kapalya. We have since, progressed quite significantly from those days. But the whole pretext is a lot of people don't realize how vulnerable they are and how vulnerable their data is and where it resides. And the whole objective of Kapalya is to protect your data regardless of what device you're using, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a mobile device, whether you're using cloud storage, whether you're using your own file servers inside your own office, wherever the data resides. Our objective is to protect you and defend you against ransomware.
Well, when we look at it, it is very important, and the threat is quite real. As soon as something happens in someone's computer or things like that, then people feel like, oh my God, the world's come to an end. My computer, all my data's there. Now, many people, when it comes to cybersecurity, I'm just talking about the average Joe Block on the street. I'm not talking about people who are, in that field. To them, it's okay, all right, I've got a computer, I've got an antivirus on, so this is, I'm protected. So, to all the ordinary people who think that they've just got an antivirus and they are protected. So could you tell us a little bit of the way this cybersecurity and just an antivirus on a computer could be different?
That's a great question. In fact, I get that a lot. And so let us look at who are these people that are coming and attacking you, right? So the people that are coming and attacking you are cyber criminal gangs. And when I say gangs, I literally mean gangs. So think of them as, the drug gangs that transport drugs across multiple countries. These people are doing it for one reason only, is to make money off your information. And believe it or not, there is a place called the dark web where all of these transactions happen. And these people trade your information and sell your information on the dark web. And depending on which report you read, because nobody can verify the exact number, but it is to the tune of, the dark web activities are about $1 trillion industry, not $1 billion, but $1 trillion industry. So this is not going away anytime soon. So these people understand that all the tools you're using, your antivirus software, your firewalls you might have, intrusion detection prevention systems you might have, backup recovery systems you might have, they all understand this. And they all know how to bypass all of these things very, very carefully without being detected. So they're very smart. So just because you have one system implemented on your computer, if you think you are safe, I just wanted to let you know that that is not enough protection. You need to have multiple levels of protection within your computer system to make sure that the cyber criminals are not able to get to you. We at Kapalya think of us as the last line of defense. So I'll give you an analogy. So let's say you own a home, and in your home you have your front door that you've already locked. You have the key to that. And you're saying, well, I'm safe because, my front door is locked. Well, somebody could break into your window and get in, or somebody could break in through your back door and get into your home. So you're not really protected, right? So just because you have an antivirus software doesn't mean you're protected. Now you say, oh, well, but wait a minute, I already have a security system. And then if somebody goes in and breaks into the security system, within 2 minutes, the police or the law enforcement agencies are there at my door and they will catch the thief. Again, the cyber criminal knows that. So the cyber criminal knows what kind of security, what kind of lock you have, how many doors and windows you have in your home, what kind of security system you have, and how to bypass that security system so they can come in, steal your valuables, and get out without being detected. So just with one single line of defense, with just a simple antivirus software or the Windows firewall that comes and stuff like that, that is not enough. And that is why we at Kapalya go that extra level to make sure that when the cyber criminal does enter your computer, they will still not be able to steal any of your data. Because think of it this way, that you might have your home, you've got the lock, you've got the security system. Inside your home, we want you to put a safe. And then inside that safe, we want you to put all your valuables, right? So for him to get in, he has to bypass all of those, and then he has to break into your safe and then only steal the valuables. So think of us as that very strong safe with a very sophisticated entry system to get into your safe. That is what Kapalya is. That is the level of protection we provide, as opposed to just putting a lock on your front door or just putting a security system. So that's the difference.
So looking at that explanation, which is quite a nice analogy that you have used there, which is great. And now when we look at all of this, to my mind it comes like big corporates, big companies, they really need that rather than someone just with a PC at home, even though they might have some valuable information there as well. And you did mention the dark web, where this kind of transactions do take place. So, looking at all these big corporates and in the government world, in where there is so much information out there, and in these days, when people are now working remotely. There are people who have got employees all over the world. You might have the same, many people. So for all of them to access the central data, so data is normally placed on something called cloud, which someone explained to me a while ago. On there, how secure are things, and how does this cybersecurity control that part?
Yeah, so again, great question. So let's work about I'll answer it in two different ways. Let's talk about the remote workforce first. So before, it was everybody, pre-COVID, everybody went to an office. The office had security controls. You had a badge to get inside the office. There was a security guard in front. He kind of knew who you were. You had to go through a whole bunch of physical controls to actually get and sit on your desk where you can use, a computer. So that is no longer true, because now people are working from home. And now if you're working from home, those physical security controls are no longer there, because now your computer, which belongs to the company, which is a company asset, is now sitting on your home. So those perimeter defense systems, as we call it, are no longer in place right now. So you are actually more vulnerable. The challenge then becomes that your computer potentially contains critical sensitive information that belongs to your corporation, but it is now sitting on your laptop. And at that point, the cyber criminal knows that. The cyber criminal knows very well that your computer is vulnerable, and they will try to attack you there. So they will try to exfiltrate your data any which way they can, depending on whichever vulnerabilities they can compromise, right? So that's basically what they do. Now, then people say, well, I don't store anything on my computer, everything is on the cloud. Great. So cloud is nothing more than a very secure, set of servers that are sitting in a very secure data center, which is not on your computer, or maybe not on your company's computer, but sitting inside that corporation's data center, and that's where all the servers are, and that's where you have stored all your data. The three largest cloud providers in the world are Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, and a lot of people are migrating to their cloud. However, they also realize that the security controls, while they are great in the cloud, they are not 100% foolproof. So there have been instances where people have actually, either by mistake or by some malicious intent, left some data stores on Amazon open, so other people could come in and steal all that information, right? So what our software does is allows you to store your information on the cloud storage, which is quite secure, but you'll get that extra level of security on top of that to ensure that even the cloud systems administrators, if their account gets compromised by these cyber criminals, they will still not be able to read any of your data. And that is really critical to understand, because the biggest threat that these cyber criminals use is they use an administrator account. So you have in your corporation, you have a server administrator or a network administrator or a security administrator or a backup administrator or a cloud administrator. All of these administrators have what are known as privileged user accounts, meaning that account can open all of the files and folders that belongs to that company, regardless of which user owns it. In our scenario, the way that we do it, if that privileged user account gets compromised, and the cyber criminals are very aware of that, they know that all we need to do is compromise a privileged user account, and then using that account, then they get in and then they steal all your data. So even if they did that, and if our software was installed, they would still not be able to steal any of your data. So that's the difference between what we provide and what other providers do, is we add that another layer of security on top of all the security controls that the cloud provides.
Now, I'm convinced about the company and the product itself, because really at one point in time I was very afraid, but that was more like a hoax. It wasn't real. But what you talk about in one of your articles there about the ransomware, people asking for ransom, they lock your computer, you got everything locked and all your data's there, and unless you provide all this kind of money, that you will not be able to lock. Now, okay, moving on. Okay, so that's what the company does, so right now, where are we? What stage is Kapalya at this stage?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. So we have two products. One is our encryption product, which I just talked about, and the other is we are developing a very advanced counter ransomware product. So before I explain what that product does, let me just explain what ransomware is for your listeners and your viewers. So ransomware is a method by which cyber criminals come and they grab your computer and they encrypt all of the data on your computer. So it could be your server, it could be your database, it could be your laptop, it could be your mobile phone, could be anything. And the challenge there is now all of your data is encrypted. You cannot access any of that data. So I will give you one example on why this is relevant. Okay. Of course, let's say that happened to a financial services company. Now none of you can go and withdraw any money from the bank. That would not be a good thing, right? And so that's a very bad thing. Or if a government entity got compromised, then all of your information that the government entity has, all of that is being sold on the dark web. Again, not a very good scenario to be in. But where it really hits home is hospitals and in healthcare. So just imagine this, and this is a true story that I'm saying. I mean, I'm not going to disclose the hospital or the people behind it, but this was a hospital in America. Their entire computer systems, including their laptops, their tablets, meaning their iPads and everything else, and all of their servers were hit with ransomware. That means that all of the systems were encrypted. The doctors, the nurses, the physicians, and the pharmacists could not access any of the system. As a result, what happened was they did not know which prescription or which medication to give to which patient in a timely manner, and patients actually died in that hospital. The hospital then ended up paying ransom to get the keys. Even they got the keys back to decrypt the data, they did not get all of their data back. And to make things worse, the IT director of that hospital, because he knew it was a small community hospital and he knew the community he was living in, people in the community knew him, and he was responsible for protecting all of these patients and all of their data. He could not take the embarrassment, so he went home and he shot himself and he died also because he could not take the embarrassment. So this problem of ransomware is not just about money, it's about saving lives also. It's a huge problem. And it's a problem that, a lot of people don't realize the depth of it. And all of these things have now been, simply magnified, and it is growing at a staggering pace simply because of COVID. And people realizing, the cyber criminals realizing that people are vulnerable right now. And so they're starting to attack even more and more. And depending again on which report you read, the amount of cyber attacks that have increased after we hit the COVID pandemic has gone up by 200%. So that is where the whole challenge of ransomware is. So, then the obvious question is, well, what makes you think that you can go in and solve? You're a startup. What makes you think that you can go solve this problem that, all the big multi-billion-dollar global corporations have not been able to? And the answer is simple. Because of my work with the Hawaii state government, I was very involved with the FBI and also with the National Security Agency, which is the largest security agency of the United States government. So we are working directly with the NSA, and we are developing an advanced counter ransomware software that we feel will be much better than existing solutions in the market, simply because the National Security Agency has been studying ransomware for the last several years. And they are not only just studying that and they're sharing this intelligence with other departments within the United States government, but they're also sharing this intelligence with other governments, which are the allies of the United States, Australia being one of them. So they exchange all of the information and all the intelligence they've gathered on ransomware with their counterparts in Australia, and the Australian government sends them the information and they collaborate on that. And not only is it Australia, but the Five Eye companies, right? So US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, they do all of those information exchange. And based on that, they have developed the most comprehensive counter ransomware solution. And we were the lucky company that they've decided to partner with to write the software and bring that solution to market. So that's the reason why we are so confident that our solution will be much more superior to anything else that is out there, simply because we are not working in isolation. Any large company is working in isolation within themselves. We are working with not just one intelligence agency, government, but 5. And the information we gather from them gives us more intelligence to counter these cyber criminals. And it's all about how intelligent is your system? How much intelligence have you gathered? How do you use that intelligence against the cyber criminals is what's going to determine a successful company. And that's exactly what we are doing at Kapalya.
Now that is great. That's wonderful that you've got good connections and the government's on board as well, and as the big corporates. And I'm pretty sure, because this is of prime importance. And you've mentioned about Australia, and you've talked about security matters. You talked about elections in Hawaii. One scenario that comes to mind right here, close to home, was the big census which was going to happen, and it was going to happen online. The first time ever it was going to happen in Australia. The program went live on there. Boom, boom, boom. The whole thing came crashing down. Whole systems, and of course no one has declared what really happened, but all the talks are that it was an attack from overseas, because that would have had a lot of sensitive data about the demographics of this country. So,
absolutely, and that is exactly what these cyber criminals are after, right? Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Yep, no, that's fine. So, looking at all these kind of things, so, I believe that in today's day and age, this is the one big thing now. The big thing was, a few years back, it was going to be the cloud, that no more will you store things on your own servers or your NASes or your data storages. It will all go on cloud. It will be, anyone could work from anywhere. So that's all there. That's all happening. All the companies and all the big corporates have embraced the technology, and they have sort of moved on. But right now, as you mentioned, this is the right timing for Kapalya, because this is a real challenge in this world, in today's big world. Now, okay, of course, when we talk about companies, when we talk about businesses, they also need to be financially viable, and of course they have to have the financial backing, and so so how is Kapalya structured? What are the if people today they all like to invest in companies, they talk about stocks, buying stocks in companies, buying shares. So could you explain to our listeners and viewers where Kapalya is sitting, and how, if anyone wishes to get involved, can get involved?
Yeah, so that's great. So we are backed by the United States government, as I said. We are working with the National Security Agency, but in addition to that, there is another organization of the United States government called the National Science Foundation. So for your viewers and listeners, the National Science Foundation is the highest ranking science and technology organization of the United States government. And what they do is they fund fundamental research in the areas of leading edge technology and what they call deep technology. And so I'm very pleased to announce that the National Science Foundation has given us money to continue the research and work with the National Security Agency to bring this solution out. So in addition to the National Science Foundation, we are also working with other United States government agencies for additional funding to continue our product. However, in recent times, with COVID, and also, with the escalation of the war between Russia and Ukraine, and the threats that the Russian government is saying that they will start, doing a whole series of cyber attacks on, United States and also its allies, meaning Australia as well. This threat is real. And so we feel that, with the funding that we are getting from the US government is while it's good, we need to accelerate our growth. And to accelerate our growth, we need to get additional funding so we can hire more technical resources and we can bring this advanced counter-ransomware solution to market much sooner than, our original roadmap. So to do that, we decided to go with a crowdfunding platform. And the reason why we did that was the crowdfunding allows everybody, if they want to own shares in Kapalya, they have the option to do so. And it is through a regulated industry. We have filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States government so that, everything, all the paperwork and everything else is legal and legit. And there is anybody worldwide that is willing to join us in our campaign to fight ransomware, accelerate the growth of it, and bring our product to market much sooner so that we can make all of you, all your viewers and all your listeners and the world a much safer and a better place and try to combat this global problem with the cyber criminals. We are allowing you a platform to come and join us. And that is what our crowdfunding platform is. Traditionally, the other route I would have gone is to go with institutionals and venture capitalists. But in that round, the general public is excluded from that. You cannot come in and co-invest with a venture capitalist or an institutional organization, whereas in a crowdfunding, everybody has the option to do so. And I felt that this is something that I would like as many people to take part in, and also to benefit as we go along and feel good that they're contributing something to solve a problem that is facing us in the face right now. And that is something that needs to be solved both at a personal level, at an enterprise level, and at a government level. Hence, any of your viewers and listeners, if they're willing to, and if they feel strongly about this, I would invite them to come and join us. And our crowdfunding campaign is live. They can come in. The minimum investment required is just $300. That's it. And after that, they can. It's up to them on how many more investment they want to do. They will be issued Kapalya shares. They will become share owners of the company, shareholders of the company, and then as the company grows, they will profit from that as well. So that's basically where we are at right now.
And that is a wonderful method because giving everyone an opportunity is great. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's the link on the screen. If you would like to, look at this crowdfunding, please do so because this is your opportunity. And as Sudesh has mentioned, you'll be helping solve one of these major problems which we have in today's world. Of course, we have the pandemic. So this is a pandemic of a different sort as well. So we are all in this together. So, if we can all get together and back up the very well-reputed company to take this platform out to the world, we'd not be only helping yourself, helping everyone, and helping the mankind at large, because today we all rely on all the intelligence and all our data, and your company is only as good as the data that you have. I know in our small company over the years we have collected so much data that our IT people just keep tearing their hair apart. No wonder I've got no hair left, and they keep saying, "No, this is just far too big. You've got too much. You got to get rid of some." I said, "No, I don't want to. I really want to keep." I said, "We are in media. Someday someone talks about something, and I say, oh yes, back then here's a little clip of what happened." So that's why I don't want to get rid of them. So data is very important, but protecting that data is even more important, because if it's not protected, it could be lost, it could be gone forever. Your lifelong, all the work, hard work that you have done, all the sweat and tears that you have put into collecting the data would be compromised and would be gone. So Sudesh, once again, thank you so much for being on the show. I think we need to do a follow-up series of this because this is whet the appetite of our viewers and listeners, because there's so many things, so many other angles and tangents that we have not not discovered or covered, in this initial interview, it was just to congratulate you on the venture and making inroads into India, which is not easy to do. That's always a tough challenge, getting into India. So, in conclusion, what would you like to say?
So, first of all, thank you so much for giving me a platform. What I would like to tell, your viewers and your listeners is that, again, if it's okay with you, is I would like to do a couple more series where I would like to educate them more about the dangers of ransomware, the real threats that it poses to all of us. And, what are the simple things that you can do, whether you buy Kapalya or not, but the simple things that you can do today, right now, to start protecting yourself, which is paramount, because a lot of people, we all go about our busy lives and we don't realize how vulnerable and how exposed we really are. And, being in the field, I would really like to do like more of a educational series so that your viewers and your listeners are more educated about the subject and they can start taking, precautionary measures to protect their information from getting compromised. Because the last thing you need is, if your information gets compromised, believe me, your entire life will be turned upside down, because there will be somebody else masquerading as yourself. All your bank accounts, all your credit cards, all your data, all your information will be exposed, and that is not a place where you want to be. So, I really thank you for the opportunity to let me, share my thoughts and views with your listeners and your viewers. And if it's okay with you, I would like to continue this discussion in a series of like 3 or 4 other sessions where I can educate them about the vulnerabilities that exist out there, which are real, and how they can protect themselves.
Well, definitely we will do the follow-up series, and as you've mentioned, we can do as many, because this is something which I'm pretty sure our viewers and listeners would be very interested in. So we will continue that. So once again, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing this valuable information with us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here, and you've been a very gracious host. So thank you so much.
Enterprise data is constantly getting breached, perpetrated by sophisticated cyber criminals who are looking to penetrate your system, steal your data, and may demand a ransom payment.
It's no longer just some kid in their basement. These are criminals who make it their full-time job to steal your information.
Thankfully, there's an encryption management platform like Kapalya.
Kapalya empowers businesses and their employees to securely store sensitive files at rest and in transit across multiple platforms through a simple, user-friendly desktop and mobile app.
Launch the Kapalya app on your Windows or Mac, and the encryption management system will scan for sensitive data on your machine.
Once located, you'll upload and encrypt it on your computer, mobile device, on-site cloud servers.
Each file includes its own unique encryption key for each file and folder, which enables end-to-end encrypted file sharing across multiple cloud platforms.
You can share files with other users and revoke their accessibility of your encrypted file sharing after a predetermined time.
No matter where it's placed, you can be sure your confidential data is safe from prying eyes.
And if your computer gets hit with ransomware, rest assured that cyber criminals will not be able to read any of the contents of your data.
When your password-protected system gets breached, all your data is compromised.
Protect your data by using Kapalya's encryption management system today by visiting kapalya.com.
And that was an exclusive interview with Sudesh Kumar of Kapalya, the founder and CEO. I hope you found that session informative, and as we have discussed in that we will do some follow-up series where we will go in depth and talk about some of the things. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been an Australian Indian Radio and Gentex multimedia production. So with that, it's time to say goodbye until the next segment. It's been wonderful having your company.